Catgirl is part of our squad. What is next? Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 21, I believe? Yes, episode 21 of Delicious in Dungeon. And yeah, so last episode was all about kind of acclimating Izutsume to our group. She is now fully involved, and while she hasn't 100% gotten used to how they are and isn't entirely invested in being their friend or anything, she's at least more willing to cooperate. I think is the best way to put it. She's not as like she's not as aggressive against them. And I wouldn't say she was super aggressive against them before, but you know what I mean. And the thing is, that's kind of all we've been focusing on for the past couple episodes. So it's where do we go now? I don't know. I don't know what else we're gonna do because we only have a few episodes left. Because there's only 24 in the season, right? So I don't know if we're gonna get anything super major, and I definitely don't think we're gonna rescue Fallon by the end of the season, which is disappointing, but it's also at the same time I'm still curious as to where things are going to go with that. It definitely still intrigues me. I just wish that this season wasn't ending without Fallon being part of the group. Or did I word that wrong? No, I worded that right. I wish that Fallon was a part of the group by the end of the season, and I'm not really counting that episode or two that after she had been resurrected, because it's it was such a short amount of time that it doesn't really count in my eyes. It just, the thing is, going into that kind of second half, I was worried, as I had mentioned, that it was just going to get super repetitive. That it was because Fallon had been, not really kidnapped per se, but, that she was taken away from the party again and that they once again had to, find and save her. It felt like it was just starting to repeat things. And as I've made clear, it didn't quite go that route. It didn't just repeat the same formula again and started doing some different things instead. Introducing new characters, introducing new concepts, and mostly sticking with the story. But then, after Shuro and Cabra, whatever the fuck his name was, after their parties left, it kind of went back to the same thing again. It kind of just went back to the same formula, and it introduced a new party member through this. And now we're just kind of back to where we started, and we're just doing the same thing again, just we have a cat girl with us now. And we have, again, counting this episode, there's 4 episodes left. So it's at this point, I'm just concerned that these final 4 episodes are just going to be repetitious until maybe the very end. And I don't want this to go back to the same old, same old. I just really feel like they really need to progress things better. And I understand, some people might, in fact, I think I've heard people say, maybe not on this channel, but other places, that this series, feels kind of like a D&D campaign. And like, oh, you have these big moments, but then it kind of goes back to the meandering around and trying to find things and stuff. And it's like, okay, fair. But the problem is the organization of that. Here's the issue I have with that idea. When you do something like that, it has to be sorted in a very specific way. And you have to have it like paced out in a way to where it's not going to feel like not just off-putting necessarily, but unsatisfying. Dissatisfying would probably be the better word, the more correct word. But with this, it's like you have a 24 episode season, right? You have the first half of it focus on getting to the end of the dungeon, or at least as far as they were before, finding and defeating the Red Dragon and saving Fallon. You have a set goal, and along the way, yeah, you can have shenanigans, you have all the cooking stuff, all that fun jazz. That sounds fine. That sounds good. So they find the Red Dragon, they slay the Red Dragon, and through using magic, they rescue Fallon. Okay, cool. Second half of the season, Fallon is lost again, and they basically have to do the same thing again. Except for like the first half of the second half of the season, they don't really do that. It starts to shift towards a more story-focused thing with the introduction of Kabru and Shuro's squads, their parties, and getting to see like them meet up with Lyos's and, you know, their interactions with each other. And it comes head to head with, instead of having to find Fallon, she comes to them. And shit ensues. Okay, this is good. This is different. It's not just repeating the same thing. So Fallon manages to escape. Everyone survives because of the dungeon's resurrection thing. And the two additional parties, Shuro and Kabru's, depart. We're introduced to a new character, and then it seems like it's going to just go back to step one, basically. It's just going to go back and be repetitious again. Focusing on, okay, now that we've got a new party member, we're just going to go around searching through the dungeon now that it's shifted and changed. Deal with all these new monsters and with cooking them and everything, while we continue to search for Fallon again. And maybe along the way we'll check back in with the other parties because, you know, we made a point of showing them we're not going to just abandon them as characters. It seems like that's what they're going for here. And again, I don't know if that's going to be the case. But the last episode, just the way it was presented, made it very much feel like it was going to be going back to basics. Like, I think last episode was the first time in a while they actually used the delicious in dungeon line to end the episode. And it's just like, this is, it's a little concerning to me. And this is something that's kind of brewed in me over the past week. I don't think I talked about this, like, in the afterthoughts last time. Because it really wasn't something that I had thought about last time, directly after the reaction. But this is why you need breaks in between episodes. This is why you need weekly releases. Fuck the binge model. It allows you to think about things and to really like grasp the episodes and everything. And it allows you to really like consider what those episodes could mean for the series. This is something that just you don't have time to think about if you binge through a show. But the point is, I feel like it's just going in a concerning direction. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I'm proven wrong and it doesn't go in the direction I'm thinking it's going to. But with only 4 episodes left, I don't know like what it can do to really like break my expectations. Unless they find Fallon again and rescue her again. If she is rescued by the end of the season, that's probably the best thing they can do. And again, this is not just in regards to the anime specifically, but the original manga it's based off of. Obviously, don't spoil me, by the way. Do not tell me one way or the other. I don't want spoilers. I'm just like ranting in order to get my thoughts out. I want to continue on as spoiler free as possible. But yeah, I don't want it to just be a constant, endless search for Fallon. I don't want this series to just be that. I feel like it would just come across as like way too repetitive, kind of lazy, and it would lose its luster really quickly. I want the story to evolve. I want the focus of it to change. And in order to do that, we need to get Fallon back as a party member permanently. Like not just like temporarily. I really hope that I am proven wrong, and I really hope that it is resolved by the end of the season. And I'm fine with having like a main villain already set up. We have the Mad Mage, we have like our end game boss like already set, and that's good. I'm fine with setting a new like main goal to achieve with that. But that's even more of a reason why we need to bring Fallon back into the party. Not only to fight the Mad Mage, but in order to continue to progress the story. To reach that point in a satisfying way. And what I definitely don't want done is I don't want them to rescue Fallon like right before like the Mad Mage. Like, oh, we're in the final part of the dungeon and it's like, oh, we rescue Fallon and then a few episodes later is the final battle with the Mad Mage. No, I do not want that. That would be such a terrible decision. Fallon needs to be rescued and be with the party for a good length of time. Let's say there were only going to be 2 seasons in total, right? If the Mad Mage would be the end of season 2, by that logic, let's say another 24 episode season, then Fallon should be rescued at the very beginning of the season. Like the first 2 episodes. Fallon needs like at least that much length of time to be in the party for it to be worth it. Otherwise, like, you're not achieving anything. And endgame salvation is honestly not that great of a decision from a writing standpoint, because it makes the character you're saving feel like a plot device rather than a character. But you know what? We're going to get into this episode. I ranted so fucking long yesterday with the One Piece reaction. I'm not going to do that again today. We're going to cut myself off here. We just need to get going. Let's get into this reaction. Cutting in here real quick to remind you of all the awesome content we have on the channel. Between Monday and Friday, we have a plethora of awesome series reactions, with 2 on Wednesday. We have movie reactions every Saturday and Sunday. I do pre-record them during the week, but upload them on the weekend. And we have gaming content over on the Princess of Gaming channel. We have Baldur's Gate 3 every single day, Horizon Forbidden West every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, Beyond Two Souls on Wednesdays and Sundays, and Poppy Playtime every Saturday. And don't forget to click that link in the description to follow it to today's reaction. I do redirect everything on the channel just due to copyright. And on top of that, don't forget to click the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel and the like button to help support. It means a lot, and I thank you so much for tuning in. That being said, let's get to today's reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So I took some time to think about this in between the reaction and now, and it's really interesting. So this ghost that Laios had been seeing takes them to this pocket dimension that seems to house the kingdom and the residents of the kingdom from the past, Lord Delgal's kingdom. And now inside this pocket dimension, all the residents are like immortal and they don't need to eat or anything. But there's this prophecy that was given to them, I guess by this winged lion, that says that a hero wielding a winged sword is going to come and save them from, you know, everything that's going on. And apparently that's Laios. So a lot of big lore and setups here. We also see what's happening on the outside of the dungeon with the Island Lord meeting with the elves who, you know, just kind of, because of their long lives, assume responsibility and control of everything. They're planning on dealing with the dungeon, but Kabru is worried that it's going to repeat what happened with his village, and that would result in mass deaths and just a repeat of, you know, how his family was horrifically murdered in front of him. So he works out a plan to try and stop it, and he manages to convince at least one of the elves for enough time to, at least buy some time. So things are kind of working out there. And yeah, it's really interesting. We are progressing things in terms of the main story and the lore and all. I'm just wondering what this is going to mean overall. Based on how, like, big the lore is starting to become, though, I don't know. I don't think there's going to be any more than 2 seasons of this. If they have another, if they're doing a second season, this is confirmed. If the second season is also 24 episodes, that's all I can see being in this series. For the anime, of course. I can't see it extending past that. I believe the manga's over, right? The manga already ended. So it's like, I would think there would probably be enough material for another season. But I mean, I don't know for sure. Based on where, again, the lore is going currently, it could be that they're really getting ready to wrap shit up, which could mean that maybe season 2 could even be like a 12 or 13 episode season. Or there is going to be plenty more still, and it could be a full 24 episode season. I can't tell, honestly. But things are really starting to get involved here. So I was kind of wondering what was going to happen with these last 4 episodes, like where it was going to go. Apparently this last arc is centered around this. this kingdom within this pocket dimension in the dungeon. So yeah, the master who we have met with, I can't remember what his name was, but he's the grandson of Lord Delgal, who we know what happened to him. The Mad Mage does not seem to, though. The Mad Mage is like having Fallon search for him, right? But we know what happened to Lord Delgal. He exited the dungeon and then turned to dust after like making a statement, sending a message. So the Mad Mage doesn't know about that somehow. Or just still thinks that he can find Delgal in some way. I don't know how, but hmm. And now his grandson, who is immortal. And no one's been able to leave this place. Apparently, everyone who's tried outside of Lord Dalgal, who's the only successful escape, everyone else who's tried, like, becomes a ghost that eventually turns evil. This is definitely very fascinating. Also, it's also very interesting that this pocket dimension, the magic that's probably creating it in the first place, is also keeping monsters within it docile. And since Izutsumi is half monster due to the curse that's on her, she has become very stereotypically cat-like. Like, she's become super docile and playful, and, like, she's cuddling up to Marcel, and, like, she's almost practically purring. It's weird. Everyone kind of agrees it's weird. But, like, there's, like, that one shot where she was, like, literally, like, cuddling up to Marcel's hand, and it was like, what is happening here? Um, it's just... It's odd. It's odd. But this allows, like, them to use the monsters and stuff, almost as pets, but also as, like, food. Even though they don't need sustenance, they can still eat it, and they do still eat it for a sense of normalcy, because it keeps them sane, as was stated. Because they don't need to eat, and their tastes have dulled to a point where it's like it's kind of implied that by dulled they can still taste, but they don't really like fully grasp flavor as much as like a normal person would. And because of that, their food is rather bland. Like, since she didn't like call it outright bad, it's just, it's rather bland. It's not that amazing. It's not that well made. Um, but yeah, if they can't really taste that well, that would make sense. They don't really understand how to make the flavors work exceptionally well. And it's just, it seems like a very sad place, you know? Even with all of the citizens there seeming like very excited and happy that Laios is there and all, like, just their existence is extremely, like, sad, depressing, upsetting, even. And I'm wondering exactly, like, how it works. Because the dungeon as we know it is the remains of the castle, right? But we see the castle in this pocket dimension. Like, did the Mad Mage... If the Mad Mage created this pocket dimension, which is more than likely, I feel, did he, like, kind of capture a moment in time? Is that how it works? Or was it sort of like, it's actually the kingdom from that period of time, locked in this immortal state through magic? It's either like kind of like a snapshot of that time period, and these aren't like technically the real people, but sentient memories in a way, or it is the real kingdom trapped in this pocket dimension, And it's just a really fucked up situation. Because the thing is, so, oh, also, by the way, I did realize Lord Delgal was the son, the prince. The old king who died was his father. I did realize that, by the way. I made that mistake in the reaction. I just wanted to clear it up here. After Lord Delgal became king, we saw the Mad Mage was, on Delgal's side, of course. This is going back to the living portraits and all, back when Laios first stumbled into all of this. Um, we know, like, Laios kept going throughout the years of this of Delgal's rise to power and reign, but then was stopped. So at some point after Lord Dalgal took the throne, and after the events after the time period where the Mad Mage would have seen Laios, he must have somehow, the Mad Mage that is, trapped the kingdom in a in this pocket of time, and the world like just kind of forgot about it or something. The dungeon probably took its place, I would wager. And people like maybe even assume maybe the dungeon, which the Mad Mage also created, was made to like appear as the castle. I don't know. There's a lot of questions I have regarding all of this. Because if this is the actual kingdom kept in a pocket of time, kept in this like pocket dimension. But again, I thought, unless I was wrong about the dungeon being the castle originally, but wasn't that at least implied? If not directly said, I thought it was directly said. And it's just that I'm wondering how both can exist simultaneously, even if they're in opposite dimensions of each other. Because again, the castle is clearly in the pocket dimension with them. Unless maybe that's just like part of the castle and the rest of it became the dungeon. I don't know. Obviously, do not tell me, like I said before, no spoilers. I want to remain as blind as possible for the rest of this season and for whatever comes of season 2, whenever that ends up happening. Probably next year. Um, but yeah, I have a lot of questions after this episode. This raises so many questions, and we might get a number of answers. There might be quite a bit of answers we get from the grandson of Delgal here, but I don't know if we're gonna get all of them right away. Probably not. I'm very curious about all this, though. A lot of questions. Also, Minotaur titties. That is a thing that we got to see, that Laios got to touch. He actively got to milk a Minotaur. He touched Minotaur tits. I think that's where we're ending off today's reaction, and redirect and afterthoughts and all that. Thank you so much for tuning in. No spoilers, but tell me what you thought of this episode down below. For now, I'm Connie and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.